Story time. Just wanted to make this for funsies, like a movie script, based on a true story that hasn't happened yet, like the movie Don't Look Up. And the hardest, when you watch a movie, you engage in suspended disbelief, where you don't point out all the flaws in the plot and say, that could never happen, that's impossible, that was fake. You just allow your disbelief to be suspended for a minute and allow yourself to take in the scenarios that are being presented on the movie. And the hardest part for me to engage in suspended disbelief with this script that I'm about to lay out is the idea that truth would prevail, because the foundation and the building blocks of this paradigm I'm about to describe, this sequence of unfolding events I'm about to describe, they all exist in our reality. The two basic ones are going to be plasma fire and black dot craft. Then maybe towards the end we'll bring in the sun tunnel, but I'm going to start with those two because those two are something that 90+% of the viewers of this channel are already familiar with enough that they know they exist. Custodian Files puts out a video just about every day with 5 or 6 different examples of these little black dot craft zipping through our reality. And you guys have seen enough of the plasma fire, you know that's a reality. So those two building blocks exist within our reality. And in this storyline I'm about to describe, a revelation of these two things transforms the perception of the general public, the 7 billion people on the planet, or however many it is. We'll just say 7 for now. I know they say 8 or more or whatever. Those two things, UAP dragons and plasma fire, facilitate the ability of the people on this planet to perceive the newcomers differently. Instead of as an invading force here to enslave us, instead being able to now perceive them as a liberating force here to free us from our current state of enslavement. So let's get started with this. I'm going to take the Alex Jones excuse, the Alex Jones defense. I don't believe any of this. That's just crazy talk. It's just an act, Your Honor. When he got sued for $2 grillion, he's like, it's all an act. You don't hold Johnny Depp or Mel Gibson accountable for the things they say during a role that they played in a movie, and that's all I'm doing. It's a performance art, Your Honor. I don't mean any of it. The viewers of my channel are all schizophrenic. I'm just playing a role. It's acting. It's performance art. I don't believe any of that crazy stuff that I say. It's just a movie script. So here we go. Again, the hardest part to even believe about this is the idea that truth will prevail and everyone in the world will be on the same page, receptive to and accepting of the truth about plasma fire. For 2 basic reasons. That's like, oh yeah, I can believe in sun tunnel and airborne aircraft carrier and black dot craft and plasma fire and microchipped population and knot clouds and more portal in the cathedral. But people all being aware of the truth? Nah, that's a bridge too far. Not in this world, for 2 main reasons. The people's free will. They don't want to see the truth. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So in this movie script, we're going to force them to drink from the fountain of knowledge. Oh no, that's the tree of knowledge, that's evil, I don't want none of that. And the way we're going to force them to see the truth and accept it is with those black dot craft, those UAP dragons. Who controls the dragons controls the world. And one day, we're just going to imagine this all plays out in one day, maybe 1 or 2 days, in this movie script. Those UAP dragons that Custodian Files puts out videos of just about every day, showing you 5 or 6 examples just from one guy, those are surrounding all of us at all times. And to that point, his most recent video shows Harry Potter holding the snitches, where he caught one of the snitches. One of these little drones that's a little orb in the middle made of like brass on the top and some sort of silver metal on the bottom and got little wings. Much like the UAP dragons, they appear to only be a couple of inches and they often have what appears like wings, and Custodian File says those are plasma jets. The reason, again, 90% of the people here are beyond the point where they go, those are bugs. They're as ubiquitous as insects. They're everywhere. They're all around us at all times. You can point your camera in any direction, take a 30-second video and review the film. And those little black dots that go zipping through the screen, slow it down, zoom in, you'll see, oh, they are there, aren't they? And after a while, you get past the, well, that's got to be a bug phase. And these dragons go from being all around us, inconspicuously concealed from the general public all in one day, like the day the earth stood still. In that movie, aliens reveal themselves. And I guess that's why it's titled The Day the Earth Stood Still, because everyone on the planet, suddenly their to-do list, their schedule of things they have to do just got cleared. Their slate was wiped clean. You ain't got nothing to do today. That is a priority over all other things you think you need to do. So everyone comes to a screeching halt. And these UAP dragons come out from behind the veil and reveal themselves to everyone simultaneously. And in that process, all militaries stand down because you're outgunned. In the face of a threat, people have an instinctive response of fight, flight, or freeze. They don't usually perceive of the fourth option, which is friend, but they fight, flight, or freeze as their initial instinctive response to a perceived threat. You can't fight them. They can be zipping around right in front of you and you not even see them. You can't flight. There's nowhere to go. All those preppers that think they're going to go out into the backwoods and hunting and fishing and cabin living, only if the UAP dragons approve, because they're there too. So these UAP dragons come out of the woodwork, and everyone all at once is made aware of their presence. And that's the day the earth stands still. And they seize all lines of communication. All of those social media feeds, just about all of the 7 billion people on the planet, are on one social media platform or another. Even in third world countries, they're all doing one social media platform or another. And on this day, all of those different social media platforms feed into one central capstone of the pyramid, and the message goes out from that capstone into everyone's feed. So no matter what social media you're on, 90% of the world has a cell phone and is on social media, and they'll get the message to the other 10% who are not. So on that day that the UAP dragons reveal themselves, people of the earth, can you hear me? Came a voice from the sky on that magical night. That's Children of the Sun. And the whole earth stands still, and they realize, holy shit, these are all around us. You can take a video pointed in any direction. And now you got their attention. Gonna get their attention. Gonna teach them all a lesson. What we're doing here ain't just scary. It's about to be legendary. So now everyone comes to a grinding halt, and the militaries and the police force and even the local militias, the pickup truck army with their hunting rifles and their ARs, stand down. You're outgunned. You can't fight against these. You can't flight against them. They move as fast as a bullet, and they won't even have to touch you. An electromagnetic field around them can zip a few feet away from you and have different various effects upon you. So that's why all militaries say, okay, we're just going to stand down for a minute and let them express their demands or their requests, because we're in no position to negotiate. And at that time, he who controls the dragons controls the worlds, sends out the broadcast through the social media streams where there's only one video going out on all these streams, and that's whatever's coming from the peak of the pyramid. And everyone else shuts the hell up. All those talking heads online that think they know something, they're all real quiet. You can hear a pin drop worldwide. And the message goes out, forcing people to perceive plasma fire. Hey, people of the earth, look around you. The trees have been burning on the inside from a form of electricity coming up through the ground for 7 years. You'll be given 8 hours, 6 hours, however many hours, to go out to the local place around you where there's been a fire in the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And you too will see these electricity-based burn patterns. Streaks of charcoal going through an otherwise unburned piece of wood. Trees burned out from the inside. And they could format and create a compilation of plasma fire showing people, oh, and by the way, it turns the houses to a fine white powder and melts the cars with liquid metal running down the road, and the trees and the leaves and the weeds and the bushes this far away from the melted car are unburned. And they could present this to the world in a very well formatted compilation within, a 10-minute video. And say, now go look around you. You'll be given some free time. And post your own videos when you see them. When you see this electricity-based fire. And so people do so. And it's the Me Too movement of plasma fire. Yep, me too. Yep, now that you pointed out, I do see those electricity-based burn patterns right here. A straight line burn on this square post, etc., as I've been showing on my channel for a long time. And so the world's attention is brought to the fact of the plasma fire that surrounds you and has been for a while. Forcibly, because you weren't willing to see it otherwise. And so they're given a certain allotted amount of time to go out and take their own videos and post them on your social media feeds and perform your part in the Me Too movement of plasma fire. Go look for these electricity-based fire patterns in your area where there's been a fire in the last few years, and it's the worldwide Me Too movement of plasma fire, and everyone sees that, wow, that 10-minute compilation they showed us, that wasn't just AI. I've got it right here next to my house, too. Oh, me too, just down the road a couple miles. Oh, me too, my neighbor's house burned the other day, and now that I look, yeah, all of those electricity-based burn patterns are there. And so everyone in the world becomes aware of plasma fire real quick. And then they draw the attention of the people of the world to the fact that the institutions that you've given your consent to be governed by, that's called authority. We're going to discuss the difference between power and authority. Those institutions who you all have given your consent to be governed by, we're very well aware of this. They allowed you to sit, I don't want to get too carried off on this because it can cause me some feelings of animosity and resentment. But you know the saying, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater? And it's usually based around the idea of freedom of speech. You have your freedom of speech, but you're not allowed to just go yell fire in a crowded theater. There's consequences. You'll be arrested. You'll be penalized. You'll be punished for that. In a theater that's not on fire, where you yell fire in a crowded theater, because it'll cause some sort of inconvenience. People will have to evacuate the theater. They might even get trampled if they do it in a chaotic fashion, and maybe 1 out of 1,000 theaters someone actually gets killed in the stampede of people running out the doors because you yelled fire. But that's about the extent of the consequence, the negative impact it would have on people for yelling fire in a crowded theater. Now, what do you think the consequence should be for people that don't say anything in a theater that's on fire? Yes, that's a reference to all of you, the viewers of this channel. If there are consequences for something that probably just causes a minor inconvenience, occasionally someone might get hurt in the exodus, stampede, getting out of the theater, and maybe 1 out of 1,000 theaters, someone actually dies in the stampede. But for that, there are consequences for yelling fire in a crowded theater. Now, what do you think the consequences should be for someone who sat silently while the theater burned and allowed everyone to continue watching the movie? And they draw the attention of the people of the planet to the fact that all of your trusted institutions, your churches, your media, your educational institutions, and your government, presidents, prime ministers, they have all engaged in a cooperative effort worldwide to keep the lid on this subject and not draw your attention to the fact that this has been happening all around you for years. They were going to let you burn alive in this theater. People of the world now have this paradox on their hands. They're like, well, the 7 billion of us didn't notice, so maybe the government didn't notice either, and maybe they were all as blind to it as we the people have been. And it doesn't take long to show them, no, that's not the case. You were unaware of it. They were aware of it. They kept you in Plato's cave, fascinated by the shadows on the wall that they were projecting. Your attention had been so captivated that you are such a slave that you didn't even notice the world burning around you from the inside out for 7 or 8 years now. But they were well aware of it. And it won't be hard to prove this. It'll only be a short-lived idea that, well, since we didn't know, maybe they didn't know either. No, it'll become very clear very quickly. They all knew. They kept you in such a state of stunted growth and arrested development, mentally enslaved, to the point where you didn't even notice. But they were very well aware. Those same people that concealed from you the UAP dragons that we've just spoken of, which is what got your attention to bring you this message, they were concealing from you the existence of those UAP dragons, those little black dot craft that are all around you right now, that are keeping you being still and knowing that I am God. Yeah, they were very well aware of those too. Custodian Files channel, amongst others. And they were very well aware of the plasma fire that was all around you. There was a coordinated, orchestrated effort, a cooperation by all of them. They were all complicit in it. A worldwide conspiracy to keep you in the dark in Plato's cave, watching the shadows on the wall. And in this process, it'll be essentially like taking a wrecking ball to the side of Plato's cave. That people have lived their whole lives within this contained environment, like Truman on The Truman Show, realizing that all of his experiences have been had within this contained environment of the Truman Show studio. But that's a little further in the movie plot line. So let's back up to where we are. The UAP dragons emerge. People of the earth take a seat. Like musical chairs. When the music's over, turn out the light. And you sit right where you are, the day the earth stood still. Because the UAP dragons emerge and announce their presence. And say, we have you surrounded. Don't panic, but just stand down. Be still, know that I am God. And all of the militaries of the world go, well, I guess we kind of don't have a choice. We're outgunned. Far outgunned. So all the militaries, the police forces, even the local militias stand down. The message goes out. Hey, people of the earth, take a look around you. This electricity-driven fire has been ravaging the world for about 7 or 8 years now. And you've been kept in the dark about it. And the people who keep you in the dark did such a good job that you didn't even notice, even though it was happening all around you. Now that I bring your attention to what they've been concealing and keeping from you, go out and take a look for yourselves. And people do so and they go, holy shit. There really is an electric-driven fire burning all around us. And now these invaders are no longer perceived as an invading force here to enslave you, but a liberating force here to free you from your current state of enslavement. From the people that kept you in the dark about the presence of the UAP dragons and the plasma fire brought this to your attention. There are none more so enslaved than those who falsely believe they are free. We brought you the awareness of your enslavement, which brings you closer to freedom, because you are no longer falsely under the belief that you are free. You are now, incoming message, you are now aware of the fact that you were being kept in the dark. And those institutions that you granted your authority to, you will now be much more likely to transition that authority to us. We have a lot more power. We've outgunned them. We've made them stand down. We're going to talk about Stockholm Syndrome here in a minute. We've made them take a seat. And any who choose not to, we've made an example of them. And the rest of them get the picture real quick. You're in no position to negotiate. I've been working on a jailbreak. AWOL Nation. This invading force is here to perform a jailbreak on the minds of humanity that have been enslaved, bringing your attention to the state of your enslavement by showing you what's been being withheld from you that was all around you, revealing on a whole nother level your state of enslavement. So much so that you didn't even see this happening all around you. And they'll be shown the Jeff over here. There's 7,000 people there whose attention was directed toward the plasma fire, and they just carried on with life as if it's not happening either. And the other 7 billion look at those 7,000 people and go, why didn't you say something? We'll talk a little bit more about that later, too, with the Stockholm Syndrome. So after these UAP dragons enter the scene, it's a fact, a known fact of our reality to those people who watch this channel and Custodian Files. UAP dragons enter into our reality, come out from behind the curtain, reveal themselves, and draw the attention of humanity toward the plasma fire that's all around you. Conduct the Me Too movement of plasma fire so everyone verifies for themselves, yes, it is all around us. Me too, me too, me too. And then they draw the attention of humanity to the sun tunnel. Say, if that wasn't enough for you to show you how enslaved you are by these institutions who you've granted authority to, your consent to be governed by them. Those same institutions that withheld from you plasma fire and the UAP dragons also withheld from you the sun tunnel. The reason I've saved this for last is because the first two things are a known fact to all the viewers of this channel, but that third thing, the sun tunnel, you still don't know it the way I do. You don't realize it. It's not real for you in the way that it is for me. Even if you're like, yeah, I believe you, Jeff. I don't think you're lying. I believe you took that video and it got your channel wiped out and these are the still frames you have remaining. But you still don't realize it. It's not real for you. Even if you're not like, oh, cool story, bro. You're like, no, I believe you. Even your greatest degree of belief and acceptance of what I've shown you does not make it real for you the way it is for me and the way it will be for humanity in this movie when they draw the attention of humanity to, if that's not enough for you, the UAP dragons and the plasma fire, they were letting you sit in a burning theater and weren't going to mention anything to you. And surely people died because of that. 150 people or so in Maui, 12 to 25 in Malibu in LA. If people knew that this fire was electricity driven, they wouldn't think, oh, I've got 5 minutes to gather some things when the fire's at my back door. Which would be true. If this were normal fire, it would take at least 5 minutes, if not 45 minutes, to burn its way into your house or around to the other exits. So when it's at your back door, naturally people think, I've got 5 minutes to gather a few important things and I'll just go out the front door. If they knew this is electricity-driven fire, that once you can see it at the back door, it's going through the walls and the roof, and 5 minutes from now, you won't be getting out of here. If you don't go now, you don't get out. A lot of those people wouldn't have died. So they've been letting you guys sit in this burning theater and haven't brought your attention to it or explained to you the simple, straightforward truth that this is electricity-driven fire, and that's why it moves like lightning. And you don't have 5 minutes when it's at your back door. So now we've shown you the two things, plasma fire and the UAP dragons, that they have provably been aware of for years. Now let's show the people the sun tunnel. Tomorrow at noon, all of you, at noon on the dot, look at the sun through a welding hood so you see it with your own eyes. Take your videos with your cameras so you can watch it on the playback. We're going to open the sun tunnel and show all of you. And be sure to use those old 80s and 90s camcorders so that you don't think we're piping something in through a green screen superimposed overlay, embedding something onto the video that you take with your new digital recording devices. Plenty of you need to be sure to take it with your old 90s camcorders as well. And even those people that say, no, I saw it with my own eyes looking through a welding hood, will have someone standing next to them going, it's blue beam, It's blue beam. The powers that be are still in control, and all that you're seeing is an illusion by the powers that be who are just conducting this Operation Blue Beam, a fake alien invasion, so they can have control of the world. Wasn't it pretty obvious during the C-19 there's already a world government and they have plenty of control? They don't need to do anything for more control. They have you in total and utter enslavement. And they work together in lockstep. They don't need a fake invasion to establish a world government. There's clearly already a worldwide cooperation that occurred during the C-19, other than the president of Tanzania and Zimbabwe and a couple of others, maybe only one or two others, and the presidents of those countries died, all in the year of 2021. 2020 or 2021. When they said, we took this C-19 test and tested a goat and a papaya fruit and some motor oil and a Coca-Cola, and they all came up positive. So we're throwing this C-19 test out. And we're outlawing your Jacksinations. And a year later, the presidents of those three countries that didn't go along with the worldwide cooperative effort of the C-19 operation, they were gone. And their new replacement brought in all the mandates, social distancing and all the rest. So it's clear there's already a world government. And the plasma fire also proves that. Not one media institution, not one educational institution, not one religious institution, even though in the Bible it says the future, the earth will be cleansed by fire. God gave us the rainbow with Noah to promise I'll never flood it again, but next time it'll be cleansed by fire. That's clearly been happening all around us for 7 or 8 years, but not one church has brought the attention of their parishioners to it and said, hey, we could fill these seats with asses and fill our coffers with donations and get people to really start coming to church if we pointed out to them that that cleansing by fire is happening. There was a worldwide cooperative effort to conceal this from everyone, not one country, not one institution began talking about it publicly. That's just as much of a proof of a world government that already exists as the C-19 operation. So for those of you that say, oh, it's fake blue beam, that'll last for about 30 seconds until you see that what's coming through that portal is very real, not holograms. So then they will have brought to the attention of the public that those same institutions that kept plasma fire from you and the UAP dragons and the sun tunnel, provably because they took down Jeff's channel when he put up a video of it, and that video still exists. We got the backup files. We got our own little Wayback Machine. And there's other people that provably know about this too, like Tim Hogan, the Knights Templar Grandmaster, who worked at the Space Labs in Boulder, Colorado on the Advanced Composition Explorer ACE satellite. He's told you about the UAPs coming and going to and fro through the sun. But those trusted institutions that you place all your faith in, be it churches or governments or educational institutions, they all kept you in the dark. And this is where the existential reckoning will come about. Come on, go to me. The existential reckoning. It goes out of focus when I hold it up too close. But that's what it says down here is existential reckoning. And you can see it's like a Jesus-y figure with some UFOs and some aliens and maybe a Tower of Babel down here with the people going into the Tower of Babel. We will have an existential reckoning. The state of your existence for all of humanity will suddenly have to be rewritten. And they will realize that everything they think they know, they're no longer in any position to formulate an opinion on a subject matter and say, well, I think this, well, I believe that. Well, everything you could possibly think and believe is drawing from a resource of knowledge and wisdom that you gain from your experiences within Plato's cave, within the Truman Show studio, that you've been caged and corralled within for your entire existence, for generation upon generation. And we're here to liberate you from the tyranny of your own ignorance that's been foisted upon you from those who have been aware of the true nature of this reality and the nature of our existence. From the sun tunnel to the plasma fire to the UAP dragons, that's just the tip of the iceberg. But now humanity, you can now perceive us not as an invading force here to enslave you, but a liberating force here to free you from the state of your current enslavement. Now let's go full reptilian, because this is something I've been speaking about for 7 or 8 years, since 2018. I've even made a video titled Loch Ness Mother Revelations Confirmed, which is follow-up on previous videos I've done talking about how they've demonized our Loch Ness mother and turned her into a monster. When I showed y'all the dragons on the state capitol building, it's actually like the county building in Salt Lake, one of those inherited Tartarian-looking architecture buildings in Salt Lake. I'll leave a link in the description, where I show you there's dragons covering the whole thing. And right as I'm taking video, showing you these dragons that are carved in stone all over, right over the doorways, on the corners, all over this county building. And on the corner of this county building, there's a Freemason sign, and it says founded in 1825 or whatever it is. Founded, not built. Founded, as in they found it. By the free and accepted Masons. And I'm showing you all these dragons all over this building. And up shows a van. It says Grim Ghost Tours, and about 12 or 15 people pile out of the van. They all got their EVP, electronic voice print readers, trying to detect electromagnetic fluctuations in the atmosphere, a ghost detector type shit. She's taking them on a ghost tour. And she points towards a little tiny impression like a stamp in the concrete. Meanwhile, you got these big giant reliefs of dragons sticking out of the building all over. But she points towards a little stamp of a dragon head and asks the people, you know what that is? And I pipe up. I'm not part of the tour, but I'm sitting there watching this go down, still taking my video. Pipe up and go, it's a dragon. And she goes, huh? A dragon, huh? Okay, anyone else? Someone says a griffin. Someone says something else. She said that when people first came to Utah, in Lake Bonneville, a saltwater lake, people saw something like Loch Ness Monster. Not all lake monsters look like Loch Ness. And underneath Utah Lake, there's these underground tunnels that go to Bear Lake in Idaho and other bodies of water elsewhere. And people saw a lake monster like Loch Ness. And that's why this little stamped in image of a dragon's head is on the side. She doesn't draw their attention to all the dragons all over the building, over the doorways, on the corners, probably 20 different dragons, if not more. She shows them this little stamped in the concrete kind of looking dragon head. Tells them it's because people had sightings of something like Loch Ness. No, clearly they had a reverence and a worship of these dragons that are all over this building, just like any other business. Over the front doorway shows you who owns it and the product and service that they provide at that facility. And this building was House of the Dragons. The same people that kept you in the dark about plasma fire and the UAP dragons and the sun tunnel are the ones that indoctrinated you with all that shit about the serpent seed race and the evil serpent and the great dragon. And that's the capstone of being able to shift your perception of these newcomers from an invading force that's here to enslave us to, oh, they're here to liberate us from the enslavement and the tyranny of our own ignorance that's been foisted upon us by the controllers who indoctrinated us, from the media to the governments to the educational institutions and the religious institutions. None of them were going to show us plasma fire. None of them were going to show us the UAP dragons all over. None of them were going to show us the sun tunnel. They went to great lengths to conceal it from us. When Jeff put a video up on it, they took down his channel. And thus, all of that indoctrination they fed us full of about the evil dragon that's coming to enslave you, it no longer makes any sense for anyone to continue holding that as a template by which you navigate this environment. In fact, the rule of opposites should apply. And there's a reason. It serves someone's purpose, and it's not ours. It's not for our own good that they have indoctrinated everyone. The secular people, the religious people, and the conspiracy theorists. One thing they all have in common is they know reptilians are evil. Oh yeah, they've been indoctrinated through culture for a long time about those evil reptilians. This is hanging off of a cathedral, I believe. I don't know. That's as much as I can see. But it's coming off the edge of a building. This channel in the top channels the water down. And that's why you can see the water dripping off of the mouth of the dragon. And they tell you, oh, we carved that. Yeah, the people who founded the building a little while ago, they could barely feed themselves. They were on horse and buggy. I'll put that back up later. But these buildings, oh yeah, these weren't here before. No, we built these. The people who have looked into the Tartaria mud flood and have come to some real easy conclusions that that's not possible. We've been believing a lie for our whole life. Everything that we've been shown is within this Plato's cave. For those that don't know the allegory, everyone is chained down in this cave. Behind them there is a fire, and the controllers do shadow puppets on the wall. And everything we perceive about our whole reality is based on these shadow puppets on the wall. And anyone who gets outside of Plato's cave and tries to come back in and tell everyone else, hey, there's a whole world out there, the very people in Plato's cave will try to kill them. The people of the Matrix are so enslaved, so hopelessly dependent upon the system, they will fight to defend it. The very people we are here to free are your enemy until they're free from the Matrix. So let's bring this to a close. Back to the beginning, just those two elements, plasma fire and UAP dragons, can be used to shift the perception of all of humanity from seeing these newcomers as invaders that are here to enslave us to liberators that are here to free us from our current state of enslavement. Might be making future videos with these big picture ideas where you just take the puzzle pieces we have access to and rearrange them a little differently and look at it from a little different angle and see what kind of a movie script we can make. Because of course that's all crazy nonsense. Of course none of that would ever actually happen. So here I'm going to circle back around to some of that artwork on the Salt Lake City and County building. There's the close-up. There's the caption. City County building in Salt Lake. Here's a dragon. You can pause it and come back. I'm going to go through these pretty quick. There's the caption. City County building, Salt Lake. Another dragon. City and County building, the caption from the place where I grabbed these images. Another dragon. This isn't a Gothic cathedral. This is the Salt Lake City and County building. Another dragon. Let it linger. Salt Lake City and County building. There's the caption. I think we got some more dragons that I haven't shown yet. Where's the other good dragon images here? This one's actually from the video that I took. I could not find this one online, a close-up, highly detailed, clear image of it. But you can see the serpent-shaped body, like in the paws of the dragon. You can see what looks like big ears on the side. The nostrils. Because they're so high up on the building, I wasn't actually able to get good close-up images plus the unstable camera work. But here's where those are. There's the sign on the front of the building, City and County Hall. And this is a more blurry image of that dragon we were just looking at. And these are those dragons. These are from my video that I took, and now you can see why I grabbed some of the more high definition images online. That's an eagle. That's a dragon. I could not find a close-up image online. This is from the video that I took. You can see the serpent body and the almost eagle-like head. Very high similarity between the head of this dragon and that eagle head that's right next to it. So we're going to quickly just recap the real dragons, the UAP dragons, and the plasma fire, which, by the way, remember Trump coming out and saying these fires burn super hot. In fact, so hot, that's a pretty good image of it, so hot that the chimneys are missing on half of these houses that burned down. The chimneys are missing. There, I think we already... Maybe this wasn't one of the ones I saw online. You can see the feet, the wings, and the head sticking out. So now I'm just going to show a couple of quick clips from this video. It's actually two parts. One of them's like 8 minutes long and the other one's like 10 minutes long. They're both of this city and county building, and I titled them Loch Ness Mother Revelations Confirmed. Again, this is the city and county building. That guy. That guy. That's one of the dragons. That's another one. Here. And here. Can't see it very well because of the angle we're at. But those are the ones we looked at just a minute ago. There's another one off each corner. One there. And one there. We'll have to back up to get a better view of those. Well, when I come show you the... And while I'm taking this video, they had a Fan X. It's much like Comic-Con, but it's the Utah version of Comic-Con, where all these addled, stunted growth and arrested development, overgrown children dress up in cosplay and shit. And here, I'm going to let you see the interaction I had with some of them. All the rest of it's just decoration. Those dragons hanging off the corners, yeah, those are just decoration. Cognitive dissonance, man, it's poisonous and it keeps the whole world ensconced. These guys are from the Comic-Con. What do they call it? Fan X. What do you think of the dragons hanging off the building up there, guys? Yeah? See the dragons?
Yeah.
On all four corners, there's two here, and then there's two here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
City and county building. This isn't like a Gothic cathedral.
Yeah.
This is the city and county building.
Yeah.
What's it got dragons on it for, man?
Oh, kind of interesting, though.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're doing like a documentary type thing?
I just do my own thing. I run a little YouTube page.
Oh, right on.
I'm just interested enough to pay attention.
Yeah, yeah.
Huh? It's Jeff Snyder too. Yeah.
Okay. Right on.
Anyway, have a good one, guys. Cool crossbow.
Thanks, man.
So that was where part one ends, and now I'll show you a couple pieces from part two, including where Grim Ghost Tour shows up and validates and confirms what these dragons are all about. The city and county building, and there's those guys I spoke with. And this is the other side, because that's the side we just looked at. On this side, we have dog heads, something like you might expect to find in Egypt. And those guys that were just at the Comic-Con, or Fan X, whatever they call it, dude's packing a crossbow. Obviously he's a LARPer, live action role playing. But when I point out the dragons on the side of the building, he's just about as interested in as nothing. He's like, yeah, that's kind of interesting. And I say, this ain't a Gothic cathedral. This is the city and county building. Why are there dragons hanging off the side? He's like, oh, I don't know. Kind of interesting, though. And if I wouldn't have pointed them out, he wouldn't even have noticed. Kind of interesting, though. And if I wouldn't have pointed them out, he wouldn't even have noticed. But these are guys that are kind of into that kind of thing. Right? Playing Dungeons and Dragons and shit. And I point out real dragons to them hanging off the side of the city and county building. And that's what this is. You can see the wings here on the side, feet on the bottom, head looking straight at you. There's the answer right there. Rededicated by Grand Lodge F and AM of Utah. That's free and accepted Masons. And if you see, there's the sign right there. It's barely visible. But that's who's running the show. And they're not hiding it. Just most people are too, most people just don't give a shit. And you can actually see the sign on both sides. It's one here and one there. The G in the middle of the compass and the square. And this is all City Hall. And that's who's actually running the show. So that's where it says City Hall. Here's the sign we just read. And I didn't even wrap around to the other side. This part reads, laid by the Masonic Fraternity, W.N. Schilling, Grand Master, 1892. So they've been running the show for a long time. So they can't be that bad, right? But you notice that that cornerstone is above this part of the building. This part of the building probably has window seals, window wells that go into the ground, as in shown by all the mud floods. And John Levi's channel is really into that kind of stuff, and I'm sure he's done plenty of work showing the city and county building. Just a shout out to John Levi. He lives here in Utah, and he's the ASMR of the truth community because he talks like this and makes you feel real sedated as he gives you his presentation. But my point was that that cornerstone is laid right here. Like this part of the building might be a lot older than this part of the building. Just taking shots in the dark here. So there we have some sort of bird / eagle head. And this side is definitely dragon. You can see the tail coming down right here. And the Fraternal Order of the Serpent Brotherhood has been running the show for a long time. Definitely the latter. Grim Ghost Tours. They must have come to check out the dragons. Huh? See? At least I'm not alone. At least some people like to check out the bazaar. I told them there's no grimy ghosts here that I already looked, but apparently they don't believe me and they all want to see for themselves. Now I feel a little bit better knowing that some other people are interested in this kind of stuff.
This face up there, that is the face character of Chief Wakura, who was a local Native American chief in the area. In fact, he was one of the first Native American chiefs to sign peace treaties with the United States Army on the west side of the United States.
Should I ask her about the Freemasons or the dragon? See, eagle.
Symbolic in the United States. Up here. Any guesses what this one is?
A dragon.
Dragon? Looks like a dragon, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right up there. Between the first arch and the second arch.
She's talking about the dragon.
Griffin.
A griffin.
Phoenix.
This is documented as being the Utah lake monster. Not all lake monsters look like Nessie. Ours looks like a dragon griffin.
Like Loch Ness.
Where even before Utah was a settlement,
We got lake
territory,
monsters.
there were reports of people seeing a lake monster out on the Great Salt Lake. And as those waters receded, this lake monster used a series of underground tunnels to travel to another large body of water that's associated with Lake Bonneville, the ancient lake, up in northern Utah, where they have signs that say, "Beware of lake monster." Don't leave the lake monster. Anybody know which lake that is?
Bear Lake.
Bear Lake! For several years they couldn't find the bottom of Bear Lake. It's there, it exists, they found it. But along with the bottom they found underground caves and tunnels. And by these caves and tunnels they found large deposits of sodium. Salt. That's why they believe the ancient Lake Bonneville was all connected. There's a series of underground tunnels and caves connecting all of Utah's bodies of water. But this is a ghost story. You want to hear a ghost story? Who has a
Listen to her refer to Lake Bonneville as the ancient lake.
As those waters receded, this lake monster used a series of underground tunnels to travel to another large body of water that's associated with Lake Bonneville, the ancient lake, up in northern Utah. Tunnels to travel to another large body of water that's associated with Lake Bonneville, the ancient lake.
As Jim Morrison once said, ride the snake to the lake, the ancient lake, baby. The snake, he's long, 7 miles, ride the snake. And he called himself the Lizard King. And as you can see here in this image, he has the snake across the bridge of his glasses and a butterfly on all 4 corners. One top left, top right, bottom right, and bottom left. This isn't the best image. The resolution is downgraded for some reason. And he's got that pinwheel in his glasses. Maybe that's representative of the sun tunnel. But the Lizard King, Jim Morrison, he seemed to know about the ancient lake. That was a lyric from the song The End by Jim Morrison. This is a t-shirt that I took a photo of from the back of a guy standing in front of me at the store. And it says Utopian Visions, and in very small print on the bottom it says, after the decay, they will reclaim and order will be restored. This is a clip from a video I titled Jewish Reptilian Alliance, Sacred Serpent Brotherhood, Seraphim Nakash, Nega. Link will be in the description. This is a screenshot from a video by Lorde, L-O-R-D-E, the musician Lorde, from a song called Royals. It Don't Run in Our Blood. As you can see, she's holding a mammal, and wrapped around her neck is a reptile. Anyone who's familiar with Jonathan Kleck about the serpent race is trying to eat and he sees dead sheep all over knows what this image is about. But maybe, as Jonathan says, to see the truth, you got to turn it upside down and backwards, and one day he will have to do that too. In this video, Jewish Reptilian Alliance, I go over some of the imagery from the music video. I'll just let it play here. You see the snake ring that he's wearing? That's a snake ring. And I go over some of the imagery from Missionary Man, the music video. He has round pupils, she has vertical slit pupils on the album cover. Remove the beam from your own eye, and only then will you be able to see clearly to remove the mote from your brother's. A beam representing the vertical slit pupil, the mote representing a ring within a ring. See if we can catch some more of those images of the music video. Missionary Man. The music video Missionary Man is filled with symbolism. This is an image from the music video Cold-Blooded Love by Goblins from Mars. When the sun comes up, we are always out of luck. There's no room for us here. And when the night draws near, we are animals of fear. Feels so cold inside my heart. It's a cold-blooded love. This is an image from Missionary Man. I'll try and speed it up here a little bit so it goes through some of the other images. Here you see him throwing an apple into the blender. I just did a couple of still frames. If I do any more than that, they give me a strike. This is from the music video Missionary Man. He throws the apple into the blender. The serpents are running all over the machinery of the laboratory. That's a tip of the hat to transhumanism. The way she is being made by a machine, that's his snake ring. You can watch the rest of the music video, Missionary Man by the Eurythmics. Don't mess with a missionary man. You can mess with your brother, but don't mess with a missionary man. And on the cover, you can say, oh, well, that's just three-way lighting. This is a video album cover that came from before digital video, when it was all analog. And he doesn't have the vertical slit pupils from the three-way lighting, only her. That is a depiction of the beam and the mote, the most widely known parable of the Bible that everyone always twists the wording and talks about a speck and some dirt and a log and a stick and a twig in your eye. They never say beam and mote because those words are specifically used for a reason. And that's what they represent.
And a God whom his fathers knew not shall he honor with gold and silver and with precious stones and costly things. I think that's interesting in itself. And a God whom his fathers knew not shall he honor with gold. You have to understand, even the Pharisees of 2,000 years ago, in my view, they were not honoring the true Father. We know this because Jesus said, you are of your father the devil, and his works you'll do. He also said in Matthew 23 that they were a generation of vipers, serpents. And everywhere you turned around, Jesus clearly put them in a lineage totally separate from that of true Israelites. Just keep that in mind. When it says, and a God whom his fathers do not, he shall honor with gold and silver and with precious stones and costly things. He shall deal with the strongest fortress with the help of a foreign God. And it literally says that too, right? Im Eloah Nacher. That's like an alien God. Now, oddly enough, you remember Rabbi Ariel Tzedek, right? Let me just pull him up. Just so you remember, for especially, he was on the History Channel. There he is right there. Let's see. And, no, let me do reptilians. Because he's the guy that actually says the help is going to come from underneath the earth. And on the History Channel, he actually says that. And he says that the reptilians are the seraphim. Yeah, I don't know, maybe he's got a point. But what's really wacko is that he says that if you see a reptilian hand, don't be afraid. He's your friend. He considers them to be the true...
If you see a reptilian hand, don't be afraid, he is your friend. Can you picture what will be so limitless and free when you're desperately in need of some stranger's hand in a desperate land? That's from The End by Lizard King Jim Morrison, who called himself the Lizard King.
Of God, reptilian hand, don't be afraid, he's your friend. He considers them to be the true helpers of God Almighty, so to speak, right? And so, just so you see who we're talking about here, this is Ariel Tzedek.
My involvement with the television program.
And I think it's even on this video, Extraterrestrials Disclosure, he talks about it in this video right here. So this has gone a long way from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob serving our Heavenly Father to now rabbis talking about, like they call it the sacred serpent. Many rabbis are into this. No wonder why the Pharisees are, I mean, Jesus says, you're of your father the devil and his works you'll do.
Oh, the righteous. And the same people who indoctrinated you with that programming manual are the ones that kept from you the plasma fire, the UAP dragons, and the sun tunnel, so it's time to turn it upside down and backwards, and then you may see the truth.
Just bloodshed, Jesus indicted, do you realize Jesus indicted the Pharisees for all the bloodshed, all the way back to Abel? For Cain killing Abel. And dogs walking in the
Public ain't gonna handle this. Like I said, if AT is all the way out there, cool, they're far away. But the book of Daniel makes it very clear that these entities are right here. They're telepathic entities. Just like E.T., who they entertained at Roswell, gave them full debriefing telepathically. Well, we still communicate telepathically with all of these other entities. There was a race of highly evolved reptilians who matured and evolved on Earth and have since ascended. And they presently serve Hashem, God. And they are reptilian entities. Maybe evolved dinosaurs, who knows? I don't think the dinosaurs were so 65 million years ago. They were probably a lot closer than that. But aside from that, an evolved reptilian race. They are referred to as, in the Sefer Yetzirah, they're referred to as the Teli, T-E-L-I. I write all about this. You go search this out. Sefer Yetzirah says that they rule in this universe like a king on his throne. They're the reptilians. We know who they are. And they know us. We know them by different names. The book of Daniel calls them the Irin, the Watchers. The book of Isaiah refers to them as the Seraphim. Now, the Seraphim are the ones who are in the palace of God saying, Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. So they're pretty high up there in the order. But people say, oh, the word Seraphim, that means burning ones. And I feel like taking the head and giving somebody a whack on the side of the head, saying, it's what you get for not understanding Hebrew correctly. The Hebrew word for burning is soreth. And if they were burning ones, then they would be called Sorethim. But it's very clear from the book of Isaiah that they're not called that. They're called Seraphim. And the word seraph, that's exactly what Moses was told by God to put on a staff back in the book of Numbers. Clearly a reptilian. These are reptilian entities. And they're the good guys. But, well, no but about it. One of the previous epoch stole the image, or might have been a bad Tilly. And that's the story of Adam and Eve, and you know, with the reptilian in the garden. And remember the whole story of that snake? Let me ask you guys something. When was the last time you had a conversation with a snake? The one thing I love out here in Eastern Tennessee is you have the rural area, the remoteness, and you go walk out there, we find snakes all the time. And I have never once stopped a snake, say, yo, how are you doing? And the snake says, and when we have a conversation, maybe we'll go out for lunch together. Come on, let's be realistic. But this snake spoke. Our sages said that this snake, in the Garden of Eden, the Nachash, stood erect, had arms and legs. And not only did it speak with Eve, but there was no fear there, was there? Eve engaged in a conversation with the snake like it's normal. Because it was in a trusted form. And the whole thing of what happened and why, I have here in my essays called the Disclosure Essays in Aliens, Angels, and Demons, where I discuss that in great detail. Remember I talked to you that there's a scenario. There is the schoolhouse earth, beginning, middle, and end. And we're coming into those, in quote, end times. And that's why a lot of this material is now starting to be made public. Over a century ago, long before the Nazis rose in Germany, people were dabbling with these contacts, with these other entities. That was always misunderstood to be magic and spiritual and the occult. Until finally the reality of the underlying technology, interdimensional technology, of how it all operates, came about. We discovered it was the same technology that was used in the pre-Adamic civilizations, and that we're dealing with the pre-Adamic civilizations. And their representatives in space, their representatives in inner Earth, their representatives in parallel dimensions, and they are intelligent, non-human sentient beings. That's a term that was coined by government authorities when dealing with the entity that they discovered at Skinwalker Ranch. So I didn't make that up. These entities, many of them, a group of them we call the Watchers, they manipulate us telepathically. We communicate with them telepathically. They will inspire us for good, Ruach HaKodesh, or they can inspire us for evil, Ruach Ra. They control the minds of people, and they're in control of the minds of the people who are running our society right now. And society is going in a direction based upon the energetic signature of where people are at. It's as if there's a big pendulum which is swinging, being pushed, with all this woke nonsense garbage out there, creating imbalance. Nature doesn't like imbalance. To every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And the powers that be are all behind this. This is why our understandings of what we're dealing with now are so important.
And just to wrap this up, I'm going to show you the first 50 seconds of this video that I've titled Plasma-Powered Thunderbirds, where you can see these UAP dragons not at the speed of a bullet cruising by, but there's one here that can be seen for the full 50 seconds. Others appear here and here, like in a triangle formation. The other two come in and out of view, and when the other two come into view, the main one that I circled first, that is clearly present and visible right now, becomes more visible. When the other two come into view, there's about 12 or 13 others that you can see scattered throughout the clouds and down here and all around. So when I say that these UAP dragons may make themselves known, here is an example where you don't have to slow down the video and watch them zip by at 2,000 miles an hour. But you can see him right there. Barely visible. Give it a second. Now he's more visible. Now you can start to see one below him. Now you can see two below him. I zoom in past him so you know it's not a speck on the camera. I zoom back out and there they are. Now you can see the two below him more clearly. And I have other videos where I've paused it and done the still frame at the point where those two are most visible. Here in just a second, there's about 12 others that are visible all throughout the scene. There, those two below it are even most visible right now, clearly visible in a triangle pattern. And when you pause it right there, you can see a bunch of others. Let's give it a second until they're highly visible right here. Pause it and circle some of these others for you. One here. One here. One here. Let me move my thingy. One here. One here. There's one over here in that far corner. There's two of them right there between those two power lines. There's two of them right here. There's another one right here. Those are only visible when these two UAP dragons are visible. And as you've seen, they come and go in and out of view. And when they're visible, you pause it. Here's another one over here. There's another one up and to the left of him right there. There's about 15 total in frame right here. So when I say these UAP dragons could make themselves visible, like drop into hover mode and come out of the 2,000 mile an hour mode, this video is an example where they can be seen easily. So they do have the ability to make themselves known. So I'm going to cut this. It's already an hour and 10 minutes in. Maybe I'll make some future videos with these big picture, big thinking, tinfoil hat schizos topics. Because truth is stranger than fiction. They're barely visible right now, but apparently I pause the camera and start recording again. Bam, right there. Now you can see them clearly. Pause the video, and you can see all these others. One here, one over here, one here, one here. There was two there between those power lines a minute ago. One here, one over here in this corner. A couple of them here, couple here. Those are just faintly visible as black dots right now when you can see those two. This one is visible the whole time. So there's a cloaking system that they're all floating right there in the sky behind a cloaking system that kind of fades in and out, but they're all behind the same cloaking system, which is why when you can see these two most clearly, then all the others become visible. Just in case you couldn't quite see what I was pointing out, all these are in the sky, stationary. This one might be part of the phone wire. And there's one right here that's probably not. It's between the telephone pole and the wire. There's one that's barely visible right there. Let's go check out some of these over here in this. Oh, my bad. Come on. Don't even play. Let's go look at some of these over here. One here. One here. And it seems like there was another one way over in the corner. Anyway, I think that's about enough. You get the point. These UAP dragons do have the ability to make themselves visible, and on the day that they do, they bring the world to a grinding halt, and they show people the truth about plasma fire, and it has the impression upon people that it once did upon the viewers of this channel, who have since normalized it and minimized it as if, well, it's no big deal, everyone knows about plasma fire. On the day the rest of the world finds out about plasma fire, their to-do list and their schedule of things that they think are important and all their priorities goes out the window.